welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna C. Fable if you're not familiar, and as the intro stated, today I am going to be inking and painting this picture of these elfin lovers. If you're familiar with the channel, it should come as no surprise that I'm drawing more elf people. It's kind of what I'm just doing at the moment. I take a lot of inspiration from anything that is mystical, fantasy, and folklore, so I guess it makes sense that it's kind of been my obsession recently, just drawing elf people with their pointed ears and everything. I do want to start integrating some other features of fantasy and mystical creatures such as horns, wings, tails of sorts, cool things like that. But as it stands right now, so far, it is just elves with their pointed ears. So this is going to be the second monochrome video I'm doing in this series. I don't know how long I want this series to go on or how frequent I want the monochrome uploads to be, but the first one and this one will be 2 in a row. If you did watch last week's video, then you will know that I did not ink the drawing. It was just a sketch with watercolor on it, and I feel like that taught me a lot. But recently I was going back on my channel and watching some old content, and I came across the first watercolor video I did of me drawing a print of mushrooms. And I talk about how inking and line art is something that intimidates me, but I went ahead and did it anyway. And once I was done putting down all the fine lines, the details, and the weighted lines, it completely brought life into the drawing. Line art is something that I've been avoiding for some time now, and I guess I understand why, but come to find out, I'm fairly good at it. Once I put down this flat base, I go and I do more details off camera, and with the power of editing, we can see that come to life right here. So with the line art completed, I feel like this drawing has so much more life to it, and we can move on to painting. As you've seen, I'm going to be using the colors cerulean blue, and I feel like oftentimes when people think about love and intimacy, they think about the colors red and pink, but I just feel like blue suited the ambiance of this drawing. It seems immersive, and I feel like immersive is a good word to describe this, given that they're gazing into each other's eyes. And blue reminds me of blissful calm, and I would like to think that that's how these two characters feel in this moment. Now, I hate to get off track about the drawing, but as I'm filming this voiceover, I wanted to say something really random because it's getting a little bit hard to ignore. And one thing about me is, I don't know, my friends know I will literally just say the most random stuff ever. So if you're familiar with the channel, you know that I ramble, but if you're not, sorry if this seems very off track, but I think there's a skunk outside and the window is open, so it smells really, really bad right now. It definitely smells like a skunk. If you know what a skunk smells like, then you know it smells pretty bad. Anyway, enough about the random skunk talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm kind of suffering right now, but as you've seen, I put a wash on her skin and then I went over lightly with the blue. Now I'm going in anywhere where there may be shadows or flushing of the skin and adding slightly darker hues. And now for his hair, I'm doing the same technique of adding the wash, so just clean water and filling in that space with just water and then dropping paint on there and allowing it to do what it does. I wanted to try this different technique of doing like some blotting first, but because I spread the paint around afterwards instead of letting it sit, it didn't really do what I wanted it to do, which is to be darker in those areas that I initially put it down. But I'm pretty sure I said this in my last video. As I go and I do these monochrome drawings, I'm learning a lot about how the media works, and eventually I'm going to move on to doing drawings with more than just one color, or paintings with more than just one color. So I think that just working with one color is being a really good teacher at the moment. And so because it didn't turn out how I wanted it to, you see I'm going back in and just adding a little bit of a darker hue to the center of his hair, where it is all kind of flowing from his skull, if that's how you say it. While I wait for his hair to dry and her skin to dry, I decided to just go add a really light wash on some spots. I'm not sure if it's considered a wash because it's wet on dry, but either way, just super diluted paint with water and add that to the pillows to create a sense of death, their heads, creating the indent in the pillows. I'm not really sure if it was accurately portrayed, but I still do think that those little details really did help bring it together. So my initial plan for this drawing was to make her skin blue and hair white, and then I would come in with blue on any details where there may be shadows or the hair overlaps around itself, and then his hair blue and skin white, and then vice versa with the shadows. You'll see what happens in regards to that. As you've seen, I was originally using that watercolor pen thing that holds the water inside of it, but I think it was either too wet or the nib wasn't thin enough for me to get these fine details. So I move on to just using this random brush that came with the palette my friend gave me. And that is working a lot better for the fine details. Due to just the way her bangs look from when I was trying to use the watercolor pen, I do end up just blending all the hair out and making it blue because I don't like the way her bangs look. And then I was also adding some details behind her ears and blended that out a bit, and it just didn't look right. So right now I'm just kind of trying to continue along with the idea of just adding the details, but it's looking a little bit worse and worse as we go about it. So I think that blending it out was the correct decision to make, as you can see us doing here. And so as I blend out her hair, the paint that I had put down initially is going to start to get just a little bit lighter. So once we get to the completion of just making her hair blue, when it gets a bit more dry and nearer to the end of the video, I'm going to go back and kind of darken up those lines again, and I feel like that really brings it together. I know I'm kind of like talking ahead of the schedule, but it's a bit hard to know what to say when you're working in just one color. I could say, here guys, look, I'm adding more blue, and you know, obviously I'm adding more blue, the whole picture is blue. That's another reason why I'm really excited to move on to using multiple colors, because talking about my process will be a bit more immersive and exciting, I guess. So I'm just adding a little bit of water to the paper so that we can get to moving that paint along. I feel like this drawing, more than the last one, taught me a lot about how watercolor works. And so as you see, her hair is looking very similar to her skin tone, which is not going to remain like that It's just how it looks right now, but I don't think it looks bad. This drawing I actually am really proud of versus the one that I did last week. I don't think that the one I did last week is absolutely terrible. It's just a little bit upsetting because of how good that sketch was versus how the end result came out. I do think the end result has its own charm, but I also think I would have been doing myself a favor if I had inked it. So now I'm going in with the details on his skin, everything where the shadows and anywhere where his skin makes shadows and or where things overlap, just where it seems to make sense. And this actually does work out exactly how I want it to for the most part. I think that this really brought a lot of character and life to him. And so as I go in to add these details on his nose, I really think that I messed up the photo right here, so I decided to try to blend the color out, and it just looks worse. He looks like he has like a cold or something. And so in a last ditch effort, I just go to the paper towel to try to pick up the paint, and that kind of creates a really blush look on his nose, which I am absolutely addicted to adding blush to character. So I really liked how that came out. I then continue to add very harsh lines around his hair, unrealistically harsh lines compared to the shadows that having bangs may make. But this was all on purpose due to the discovery we made by almost messing up his nose. So I blend that out, and then I go in to pick a lot of that up for a very soft looking blush look and kind of more natural shadows around his hair. And now this is the only part where I feel like I may have genuinely messed up, and messed up not in the terms of the drawing looking bad. I feel like I should not have added the pigment to his lip. I just can't help it. I love making like flush cheeks, flush lips, and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like that small detail right there, along with the blush on his cheeks and his long eyelashes, make him look way more feminine than intended. I actually wanted this character to look a bit kind of stereotypical, not really masculine, you know, short hair, Adam's apple. I don't know if you could call that stereotypical. You know, people just have Adam's apples, but you know, I just wanted him to look masculine. I wanted him to look like a guy. As someone who used to, as a young artist, draw a dude, and they actually did not look like a dude. But either way, I think that it still looks really good. And I'm going in and adding some details to her face, a little bit of darkness, things to make her look a bit more detailed and cute. So as I spoke of earlier, I'm going back into her hair and in her skin to add details into where it may have lightened up. And I feel like that does a really good job on creating that contrast between her hair and her skin, and making it seem like, giving the illusion that if this drawing wasn't just blue, that they would be different colors. And I'm gonna do the same thing with him, put some dark lines around his curls to hopefully give the illusion of his hair being thick. I would like to think he has short, thick, curly hair. Maybe it's a very deep brown color. I think that would be cute. Now I'm just blending those out a little bit to make them softer. I'm not too good at coloring detail, but I really like how it looks. There's a little bit of paint peeking through from a previous drawing I did, just trying to cover up that. It didn't really work. But with that being said, we have made it to the completion of the drawing. And I really am proud of the way this one came out. This one is I don't know, I really did exceed my expectations, especially compared to the work I feel like I did in my previous sketchbook. It looks absolutely amazing. I love her freckles. But I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I will see you on the next one.